Let me ask you a question. How many of you woke up this morning with a heart full of joy, completely at peace because you were living your truth? Not someone else's truth, not the version of you that fits into society's neat little box. No, I mean your truth, the one deep in your soul that whispers, "This is who I am." Now, let me ask you something else. How many of you woke up anxious, stressed, or worried about what someone else thinks of you? How many of you adjusted your behavior, your words, or even your dreams just to make someone else happy? It's okay to admit it. You're not alone. We've all been there. We've all sacrificed pieces of ourselves trying to fit into a mold, trying to be liked, to be accepted, to be everything to everyone. But let me tell you this, the fastest way to lose yourself is to try to please everyone. I'm here today to remind you of something powerful, something life-changing. You don't need anyone's permission to be yourself. You were born enough. You were born worthy. And it's time, it's past time to stand up for yourself and stop living for the applause of the world. You can't please everyone, and that's a good thing. But let me tell you something real, and I'm going to say it with love, but I'm also going to say it straight. Not everyone is going to like you. That's life. That's the truth. And it's okay. Some folks will judge you no matter what you do. You could bend over backward, jump through hoops, twist yourself into knots, and guess what? They'll still find something to criticize. If you're bold, they'll say you're arrogant. If you're humble, they'll say you lack confidence. If you're ambitious, they'll say you're too aggressive. If you take your time, they'll call you lazy. You see where I'm going with this? No matter what you do, somebody somewhere is going to have an opinion. And the more you try to chase after their approval, the more you'll lose sight of who you really are. You can't win that game. It's exhausting. It's draining. It will strip you of your joy, your peace, and your authenticity. And the worst part, it will never end. But here's the good news, and believe me, it's good news. You don't have to play that game. You don't have to run around trying to make everyone happy. You don't have to change who you are to fit someone else's idea of who you should be. You don't have to dilute your essence to make yourself more palatable to the world. No, my friend, you are not here to be liked by everyone. You are here to be you, authentically, unapologetically, powerfully you. Think about it. Think about the people we admire, the ones whose names we remember, whose stories inspire us. Were they liked by everyone? Did they spend their lives seeking approval from the crowd? No, they didn't have time for that. They were too busy walking in their purpose. Let's talk about Martin Luther King Jr. Do you think he stood on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial about to deliver the "I Have a Dream" speech, worrying about who would or wouldn't like him? Do you think he thought, "I hope I don't offend anyone today"? No, he stood there with conviction. He stood there with purpose. He knew some people would love him and others would hate him. But he didn't let that stop him. He didn't let the fear of rejection silence his voice. He stood, he spoke. And because he did, the world changed. Now, I'm not saying you have to be Martin Luther King Jr., but I am saying this: you have something to stand for. You have a purpose. You have a mission. And if you spend your life trying to make everyone happy, you'll never fulfill that mission. Let me give you another example. Think about someone like Oprah Winfrey, one of the most successful, influential women in the world. Do you think she got to where she is by trying to please everyone? No, she's been criticized, doubted, and dismissed. People told her she wasn't good enough, wasn't thin enough, wasn't talented enough, but she didn't let their opinions define her. She stayed true to who she was. she followed her vision. And now she's a household name. Here's the thing, the world doesn't need another person who blends in. It doesn't need another person who hides their light because they're afraid of being judged. The world needs you. Your gifts, your voice, your story. And yes, when you step into your power, when you stop trying to please everyone, some people will fall away. Some people won't like the new you, the real you. But that's okay, because the people who matter, the ones who truly see you, will respect you. They may not always agree with you, but they'll respect you for standing in your truth. And let me tell you something else. When you stop trying to please everyone, you'll finally be able to breathe. You'll feel lighter, freer, more alive. You'll wake up in the morning not with the weight of other people's expectations on your shoulders, but with the excitement of living your life. So I'm asking you today, no, I'm challenging you. Stop chasing after approval. Stop bending yourself to fit someone else's mold. Stop living for the applause of the crowd. Because here's the truth, the applause will fade. The opinions will change. But your peace, your authenticity, your purpose, that's forever. Be like the greats. Be like the ones who dared to be different. Be like the ones who stood tall. Even when the world tried to knock them down, stand up, speak out. Walk boldly in your truth. And remember, you can't please everyone. And that's not just okay, it's a good thing. Because the moment you stop trying to be everything to everyone is the moment you become everything you were meant to be. 2, when you live for others, you die a little each day. Every single time you shrink yourself to fit into someone else's expectations, you give away a little piece of your soul. Every time you hold back your thoughts, swallow your opinions, or dim your light just to make someone else comfortable, you're slowly fading. Not physically, no, but emotionally, spiritually. Piece by piece, you're losing touch with who you really are. Let me say something to you. You were not put on this earth to be a supporting character in someone else's story. You were born to be the lead in your own life. And yet, how often do we find ourselves bending, twisting, and reshaping who we are to fit into other people's expectations? Let me tell you a story. There was once a young woman named Sarah. Now, Sarah was the kind of person everyone admired. Talented, driven, full of potential. You know the type. She had a spark of fire that could light up a room. But somewhere along the way, that fire started to dim. Why? Because Sarah wasn't living for herself. She was living for everyone else. She chose a career her parents approved of, something respectable, something stable. Not because it was her passion, but because it made her parents proud. She married a man her friends liked, not because he made her heart race, but because he checked all the right boxes. And every single day, she tried to be the perfect daughter, the perfect wife, the perfect friend. On the outside, Sarah looked like she had it all together. People envied her life. She smiled at the right times, said the right things, and fit perfectly into the world's definition of success. But inside she was dying. She wasn't living her life, she was living someone else's script. Every dream she once had was tucked away in a box labeled maybe one day. Every part of her that didn't fit into the mold was carefully hidden, silenced, forgotten. But life has a way of catching up to you. And one day Sarah woke up and felt the weight of it all, the exhaustion, the emptiness, the realization that she had been living on autopilot, following a path that wasn't hers. And in that moment, she had a choice. She could keep going, keep pretending, keep pleasing, keep dying a little more each day. Or she could do something radical. She could take her life back. Sarah chose the latter. She left the career that paid well but drained her spirit. She left the marriage that looked perfect but felt hollow. She dusted off the dream she had buried and started pursuing her passion for art, a passion that had been calling her since she was a child. Was it easy? No. Did people talk? Of course. Some called her selfish. Others thought she had lost her mind. But Sarah, for the first time in years, Sarah felt alive. She woke up excited, energized, and full of purpose. She was no longer living for the applause of others. She was living for herself. Now, let me ask you, are you living like Sarah? Are you dying a little each day because you're too busy living for others? Are you making choices based on what's expected of you instead of what's true to you? Maybe you're in a job that pays the bills but leaves you feeling empty. Maybe you're in a relationship that looks good on the outside but doesn't feed your soul. Maybe you're constantly saying yes to things you don't want to do because you're afraid of disappointing someone. If that's you, it's time to wake up. Life is too short to live it for someone else. Let me repeat that for the people in the back. Life is too short to live it for someone else. You have one life, one. And every day you spend trying to meet someone else's expectations is a day you'll never get back. So what's holding you back? Fear? Fear of judgment? Fear of failure? Fear of being alone? Let me tell you something about fear. It's a liar. It whispers in your ear, stay where it's safe. Don't rock the boat. Don't upset anyone, but safety isn't the goal. Comfort isn't the goal. Fulfillment is the goal. Joy is the goal. Freedom is the goal. Sarah found her freedom when she stopped living for others and started living for herself. And you can too. Yes, it will be hard. Yes, some people won't understand. Yes, you might lose a few relationships along the way. But let me ask you this, what's the cost of staying where you are? The cost is your happiness, your dreams, your peace. And let me tell you something, you are worth more than that. So take a deep breath. Look in the mirror and ask yourself, whose life am I living? If the answer isn't mine, it's time to make a change. It's time to stop shrinking. Stop dimming. Stop dying a little each day. It's time to live fully, boldly, authentically. Because the world doesn't need another person who's good at fitting in. It needs you, the real you. So stand up, speak your truth, shine your light, and live your life, not theirs, yours. 3, your self-worth is not determined by others. Too many of us live our lives like we're auditioning for a role we were never meant to play. We walk into rooms, smile just right, say the things we think people want to hear, wear the clothes that fit the image someone else has created for us, and all the while we're hoping for one thing, approval. We think, if they like me, I must be good enough. If they approve of me, then I must be worthy. But let me stop you right there, because that line of thinking is a trap. It's a dangerous, endless loop that will have you running on a treadmill going nowhere fast. Here's the truth, your worth is not determined by someone else's opinion. Let me say that again so it sinks in. Your worth is not determined by someone else's opinion. It's not up for debate. It's not something that fluctuates with the latest trends or changes with someone's mood. Your worth is intrinsic, It was given to you the moment you took your first breath, and no one, absolutely no one, can take it away from you. We live in a world that's obsessed with validation. Social media likes, followers, comments, job titles, grades, compliments. It's all designed to make us feel like we need constant external proof that we're enough. But here's the thing, validation from others is temporary. It's fleeting. It's like chasing the wind. 1 minute you have it, and the next is gone. So let me ask you this. Why are you chasing something that won't last? Why are you giving people the power to define who you are? Imagine this, you're holding a diamond in your hand. It's flawless, brilliant, and priceless. Now, someone walks up to you, glances at it, and says, that's just a rock. Would their opinion suddenly change the value of that diamond? Would it stop being one of the most precious stones on earth just because someone didn't recognize its worth? Of course not. The diamond is still a diamond. It still holds its value, its brilliance, its beauty, regardless of whether someone can see it or not. And you, my friend, are the diamond. You have brilliance inside you. You have value that can't be measured in likes or followers or someone else's approval. You have worth that doesn't diminish just because someone fails to see it. But too often we give people the power to make us question our value. We allow their words, their judgments, and even their silence to make us feel small. We let their opinions weigh us down until we're carrying a burden that was never ours to carry. Why? Because we've been conditioned to believe that other people's opinions are more important than our own. We've been taught to seek validation from the outside instead of looking within. But let me tell you something, the only validation you need is your own. The only person who needs to recognize your worth is you. When you stop seeking external validation, something incredible happens. You start to walk differently. You stand taller, you speak with confidence, not because someone told you to, but because you believe in yourself. You start living life on your own terms, not waiting for someone else to give you permission. And yes, not everyone will understand this newfound confidence. Some people might even be uncomfortable with it. They've grown used to the version of you that needed their approval. They might say things like, you've changed. And you know what? That's a compliment. Yes, you've changed, you've grown, you've evolved, you've stepped into your power, and that's a beautiful thing. But here's the challenge. You have to remind yourself of your worth every single day. Because the world will try to make you forget. It will throw doubts at you. It will test you. People will criticize you, dismiss you. And sometimes they'll try to break you. In those moments, I want you to remember this: you are still the diamond. Their words don't change your value. Their opinions don't define who you are. You are still brilliant. You are still worthy. And no one, not a single person, can take that away from you. So stop seeking validation from people who can't see your worth. Stop giving power to opinions that don't matter. Instead, look in the mirror and remind yourself, I am enough. I am valuable. I am worthy. Say it. Say it until you believe it. Say it until it becomes the soundtrack of your life. Because when you truly know your worth, when you own it, live it, breathe it, there is nothing you can't do. Nothing can stop you. You are the diamond. Always have been. Always will be. 4. Authenticity is your superpower. The world doesn't need another copy. No, it doesn't need another carbon copy of what's already been done, already been said, already been lived. It doesn't need you trying to be like her or act like him or walk like them. What the world needs, what it's been waiting for, is you. The real you. The raw, unpolished, beautifully imperfect you. Now, I know what you're thinking. You've been told to fit in, to blend in, to not rock the boat. You've been told to wear the mask, to play the part, to be what others expect you to be. But let me tell you something, and I need you to hear me on this. Your authenticity is your superpower. It's what makes you different. It's what makes you unique. It's what sets you apart from the sea of sameness. And trust me, the world is full of sameness, full of people walking around pretending to be something they're not, pretending to be happy when they're not, pretending to be strong when they're breaking inside. But you don't have to pretend. You don't have to be anyone but yourself. And I know it's scary, it's uncomfortable. Because when you show up as your true self, you risk being judged, criticized, rejected. But let me tell you something else. There is nothing more powerful than a person who knows who they are and walks in that truth. When you embrace who you are, flaws, and all, you give others permission to do the same, you become a beacon of light in a world full of masks. And let me tell you, this world is desperate for that light. You see, people are drawn to authenticity. They may not always like it. In fact, some might resent it. Because your authenticity will challenge their comfort zones. It will make them question the mask they've been wearing. And not everyone is ready for that. But let me tell you this, they may not like it, but they will respect it. And more importantly, you will respect yourself. And that, my friends, is where true power lies. Respecting yourself means standing in your truth, even when it's uncomfortable. It means looking in the mirror and saying, this is me, take it or leave it. But I'm not changing who I am to fit someone else's idea of who I should be. Authenticity is not about perfection. Let me repeat that. Authenticity is not about perfection. It's about showing up as you are, where you are, with what you have. It's about embracing your scars, your struggles, your victories, and your vulnerabilities. Think about the people you admire most. Are they perfect? No. But they are real. They are authentic. And that's what makes them inspiring. When you stand in your authenticity, you create a ripple effect. You inspire others to drop their masks, to embrace their truth, to live more fully and freely. And let me tell you, that's no small thing. Because when one person stands in their authenticity, they give others permission to do the same. And before you know it, that ripple becomes a wave of people living authentically, courageously, unapologetically. But here's the thing, it starts with you. It starts with you deciding that you're no longer going to live a life dictated by the expectations of others. It starts with you choosing to be the most authentic version of yourself, no matter what anyone else thinks. And yes, some people will fall away. Some relationships will change. Some doors may close. But I promise you this, the right people will be drawn to your authenticity. The right opportunities will come to you because of your authenticity. And most importantly, you will feel a sense of freedom that you've never felt before. A freedom that comes from knowing you are living your life, not someone else's. So my friends, I challenge you today, take off the mask. Step into your truth. Embrace your authenticity. Because the world doesn't need another copy. It doesn't need another person pretending to be something they're not. What it needs is you, your authentic, raw, beautifully imperfect self. And that, my friends, is your superpower. Don't ever forget it. 5. Setting boundaries is a form of self-love. You know, there's a powerful truth many of us struggle to accept. Standing up for yourself means setting boundaries. It means knowing where you end and someone else begins. It means saying no when you need to, even when it's hard, even when it feels like you're letting someone down. Let me tell you something, and I need you to hear me clearly. Saying no is not a weakness. It's a strength. It's a declaration that your time, your energy, and your peace are not for sale. Now, some people, oh, they won't like it. They'll call you selfish. They'll say, you've changed, and guess what? Let them. You see, we've been taught to believe that being selfless means saying yes to everything and everyone. We've been conditioned to think that our value is tied to how much we give, how much we sacrifice, how small we can make ourselves to fit into someone else's life. But let me remind you of something. Selflessness without boundaries is self-destruction. When you give and give without stopping, without ever drawing a line, you end up drained, depleted, and resentful. And that's not love, not for yourself and not for anyone else. Because love, real love, doesn't ask you to set yourself on fire to keep someone else warm. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking, but if I set boundaries, won't I push people away? No, boundaries are not walls. They're not barriers meant to keep people out. Boundaries are bridges. They create healthy, respectful connections where both people can thrive. Think of it like this. Imagine you're a gardener and your life is a beautiful garden. You've got flowers blooming, trees growing, everything flourishing. Now, if you don't put up a fence, what happens? Animals come in and trample your flowers. Weeds creep in and choke your plants. But when you build a fence, not too high, just enough you protect your garden. You create a space where things can grow. And that's what boundaries do. They protect your space, your energy, your peace, so that you can grow. And here's the thing, the people who truly care about you, who truly respect you, they won't be threatened by your boundaries. They'll honor them because they understand that your boundaries are not about keeping them out, they're about keeping you whole. Saying no is saying yes to yourself. Every time you say no to something that doesn't serve you, you're saying yes to yourself. You're saying yes to your needs, your dreams, your well-being. And that's not selfish, that's necessary. Think about it. How can you pour into others if your own cup is empty? How can you show up for the people you love if you're running on fumes? You can't, and you shouldn't have to. So the next time someone asks you to do something that drains your energy or that doesn't align with your values, take a moment, breathe. And remember, you have the right to say no, not because you don't care, but because you care enough about yourself to protect your peace. Here's another truth: people will treat you the way you allow them to. If you're always available, always saying yes, always putting their needs before your own, guess what? They'll come to expect it. They'll take it for granted. And it's not because they're bad people, it's human nature. But when you set boundaries, when you say, I can't do that right now, I need time for myself, you teach people how to treat you. You teach them that your time is valuable, that your energy is precious, that your well-being is a priority. And yes, some people won't like it. Some people will push back. They'll test your boundaries. But stand firm. Because the people who truly love and respect you, they'll adjust. They'll learn. And they'll appreciate the version of you that's whole, that's healthy, that's at peace. Let's talk about self-worth for a minute. Setting boundaries is a form of self-love because it's a reflection of how much you value yourself. It's saying to the world, I am worthy of respect. I am worthy of peace. I am worthy of peace. I am worthy of time and space to be myself. And let me tell you, when you start setting boundaries, something amazing happens. You start to feel lighter. freer, more in control of your life. You stop living on other people's terms and start living on your own. You stop being a passenger in your own life and take the driver's seat. And that's freedom. The people who truly care about you will understand your boundaries. They will respect them, even if it takes time. They won't see your boundaries as a rejection. They'll see them as a sign of your strength, your self-respect, your self-love. And the people who can't handle your boundaries, the ones who push back, who try to guilt you, who make you feel like you're doing something wrong, let them go. Because you don't need people in your life who only love you when you're saying yes. You need people who love you enough to accept your no. So stand tall. Set those boundaries. Protect your peace. And remember, every no you say to someone else is a yes to yourself. And you, my friend, are worth it. 6, the right people will love the real you. One of the biggest fears we carry deep in our hearts, locked away where no one can see it, is the fear of being alone. If I stop trying to please everyone, if I stop bending over backward, if I stop wearing this mask, will anyone still be there for me? Will anyone still love me? It's a heavy question. It keeps us up at night. It makes us second guess ourselves. It makes us say yes when we mean no, smile when we want to cry, and stay silent when we should speak up. All because we're afraid that if we show the world who we truly are, we'll be left standing alone in an empty room. But let me tell you something, and I want you to hear me clearly. The right people will love you for who you are, not for who you pretend to be. Let that sink in. The right people, the ones who matter, the ones who are meant to walk this journey with you, they don't need the mask. They don't need the performance. They don't need the watered down, edited, people-pleasing version of you. They need you. The raw, authentic, real you. Now, I know what you're thinking. But Denzel, if I take off the mask, if I stop pretending, I might lose people. I might lose friends, family, even opportunities, and you're right, you might. In fact, let's be real, you probably will. But hear me out, those people were never meant to stay. They were in your life because of the mask you wore. They were drawn to the version of you that you created to make them comfortable, to keep the peace, to fit in. But that version of you, that's not sustainable. It's not real. And it's not fair to them or to you. Because every day you wear that mask, you betray yourself. You tell your soul you're not enough as you are. You live a lie. And lies are heavy. They weigh you down. They drain your energy. They steal your joy. So let me ask you, is it worth it? Is it worth keeping people in your life who don't even know the real you? Is it worth sacrificing your peace, your authenticity, your happiness just to keep them around? Let me give you a truth that will set you free. When you stand in your truth, you attract people who resonate with that truth. I'm talking about real friends, real partners, real connections, people who see you for who you are and love you anyway. People who don't need you to be perfect. People who can handle your flaws, your quirks, your humanity. And those people, they're worth the wait. They're worth the risk. Think about it. Think about the people in your life right now. How many of them truly know you? Not the surface level stuff, the job title, the smile you wear at parties, the small talk over coffee. I mean, really know you. Your dreams, your fears, your values, your essence. If the answer is not many, then maybe it's time to reevaluate. Maybe it's time to stop pouring your energy into relationships that only exist because of the mask. Because here's the thing, when you take off the mask, you might lose a few people. But you'll gain something far more valuable yourself. And once you have yourself, once you stand fully in your power, in your truth, you'll find that the people who belong in your life will gravitate towards you. It won't be forced. It won't be a struggle. It will be natural, authentic, and real. I've seen it happen. I've lived it. The moment you stop trying to be everything to everyone, the moment you start living for you, the right people show up. They may not come in droves. They may not arrive overnight, but they will come. And those people, they're the ones who matter. They're the ones who will walk with you through the storms and celebrate with you in the sunshine. They're the ones who will lift you up when you're down and keep you grounded when you're flying high. But first, you have to take the leap. You have to trust that who you are is enough. You have to believe that your authenticity is more powerful, more beautiful, more magnetic than any mask you could ever wear. So my challenge to you is this: take off the mask. Stop hiding. Stop pretending. Stop trying to please everyone at the expense of your own soul. Be who you are. Stand in your truth. Speak your mind. Live your life. And watch how the right people show up. Because they will. And when they do, you'll know the difference. You'll feel it. You'll know what it means to be truly seen, truly valued, and truly loved, not for who you pretend to be, but for who you are. And that, my friends, is a love worth having, a love worth waiting for, a love worth standing up for. So stand tall, be bold, be you, and let the right people find you. 7, courage is contagious. When you stand up for yourself, you inspire others to do the same. You become a leader, a role model, a beacon of courage. Think about the people who have inspired you. Were they the ones who blended in, who played it safe, who tried to please everyone? Or were they the ones who stood tall, who spoke their truth, who lived authentically? Be that person. Be the one who inspires others to be brave. So my friends, the message is simple: stand up for yourself. Stop trying to please everyone. Live your life. You were not put on this earth to be a people pleaser. You were put here to walk in your purpose, to live authentically, to shine your light. Will it be easy? No. Will it be worth it? Absolutely. So stand tall, walk boldly, speak your truth, and remember you are enough just as you are. Thank you.